Okay, it's live.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jonathan Weltman. I'm the Chief Executive of the Foundation for Space Development, and I'm the Project Administrator for the Africa2Moon mission. Thank you for joining us today at the announcement of our call for proposals for mission concepts for the Africa2Moon mission. This is a very exciting day for us because it's the first tangible step into public participation for the program. I'm joined today by the board of the Foundation for Space Development, Professor Peter Martinez, who is also the mission administrator for the Africa2Moon mission, and Ms. Carla Sharp, who also works at the Square Kilometre Array. And I'm, after this introduction, going to hand the floor over to Professor Martinez, as the mission concepts are very much in the scope of the mission administration. Professor Martinez.
Thank you, Jonathan. Well, it's a big pleasure for us to have this opportunity to issue this call for proposals today. And really, the purpose of this press briefing is to introduce the call and then to have an opportunity to answer some questions that may arise afterwards. So, as many of you will know, the Africa2Moon mission concept was first proposed late in 2014, and we indicated back then that we would be calling for proposals early in the new year, and that this call would then lead to a proposal selection process. And so today we are officially opening the call, and I'd like to set out some of the broad parameters for the call, the details of which will be available on the Africa2Moon website. So given that this, the focus of this project is very much on Africa, the first issue that we would like to address in the call is that of eligibility for participation. We feel that there should be a very strong African element of participation in this. So the calls may be submitted by teams comprising individuals from any country in the world, but the composition of the team must comprise at least 50% African citizens domiciled in Africa. We recognize that space is an international endeavor, and so therefore that any mission of this kind should provide opportunities for the whole world space community to participate. But this is an initiative that should be led by Africa. So we're looking for proposals from teams comprising at least 50% African citizens domiciled in Africa, and the team must be led by an African citizen domiciled in Africa as well. And this is this will be a very important element in the consideration of the proposals. Now, as far as the scope of concepts is concerned, the proposals should obviously demonstrate their alignment with the objectives of the Africa2Moon vision, which are well explained on the Africa2Moon website. And so you can all consult that website to see what those objectives are. And we have said from the start that we see among the objectives of the Africa2Moon mission a scientific component, and we are looking for proposals that will include a scientific component among the objects in the proposed mission concept. And the scientific goals may address any question in space science and or lunar science. It does not just have to be related to lunar science. It could potentially address questions of space science in, for example, the space between the Earth and the Moon. Mission concepts may comprise either flyby missions or orbiter missions or lander missions, and they may comprise either single or multiple spacecraft. We will also consider proposals for science payloads only. In other words, a team may wish to make a proposal for a science payload only and not conceive of an entire spacecraft or space mission, but rather be looking to ride as a passenger on another mission, and we will entertain proposals of that kind as well. We're not at this stage setting any constraints on the mass, power, or volume of the mission, because we really want to encourage the broadest consideration in terms of what may be possible. But of course, proposers should take into account the status of current scientific and technological the capabilities in Africa, and also the capabilities of African industry, which we see as being involved, certainly to a significant extent, in the development and manufacture of any eventual spaceflight hardware that would be sent to the moon. So we're soliciting innovative mission concepts that would be achievable with the skills, capacities, and resources currently in place in Africa. And while I have not placed, or we have not placed, any constraints in terms of mass, power, or volume, it's interesting to note that increasingly it is the case that the availability of increasingly capable microsatellite and nanosatellite platforms is producing or is providing some very interesting possibilities in the realm of space science and also lunar exploration. And a considerable amount of work has been done around the world by various groups exploring concepts as small as 3U CubeSat form factor or 6U. So we encourage proposers to be as innovative as possible in terms of what may be achievable in the most cost-effective way. And of course, the proposed mission concept, if it is addressing or proposing an entire spacecraft, should also address the means by which the mission is proposed to be delivered to the moon. In terms of the data policy, Africa2Moon will follow an open data policy, meaning that all the non-scientific data will be made available to the public as soon as practicable. But we realize that for proposers who are putting forward scientific proposals and have a huge investment in time and effort in this, that there should be a proprietary period of 1 year during which they will have exclusive rights to exploit the data for scientific and academic purposes, following which the data will also become, will enter the public domain and be available to anyone. The call outlines the usual conditions concerning intellectual property in terms of background IP and foreground IP. And also in terms of education and public outreach, this is a very, very important element in the whole Africa2Moon vision. And so all proposals should have a significant and very clear component of education and outreach. In terms of the due date of the proposals, that has been set to the 30th of June 2015 at noon Central African time. In terms of the structure of the proposals, interested parties may find guidance on the website in terms of the proposed structure and the length and contents of the proposal, as well as guidance on the exact mechanism by which proposals may be submitted using the online form on the Africa2Moon website. Following the deadline, the proposals will be reviewed by a proposal review committee comprising African and international experts in space science and technology, and a short list of concepts will be produced or rather announced for further study and consideration. I should emphasize that no funding is associated with the selection of one or more proposals at this stage. It's simply the first step in realizing the Africa2Moon vision, and will provide some hopefully very exciting concepts for us to explore in the coming years as part of the elaboration of Africa2Moon. So I think with that, I will stop at this point and hand back to John.
Thank you. I think we'll take some questions from the floor if there are any first, and then we can get some from people. Anything coming through here?
Not yet.
We're opening it up for questions now, so if anybody wants to submit questions, we'll queue them, and in the meantime, any questions from the floor? Okay, just to run through while we see if there's any questions that come through online. I made 14 notes on the call for proposals. 50% of the citizens involved need to be domiciled in Africa. The principal investigator must be African domiciled. The proposals should include a scientific objective. It can consist of a flyby or an orbiter or a lander, and multiple missions can be considered. We're happy to look at scientific payloads only who want to take a ride along. Consideration should be taken to available skills and capacities right now that are in place. We are encouraging innovation. There'll be 1-year exclusive data rights to proposers. Education and outreach elements of proposals will be taken note of. The call will close on the 30th of June 2015, after which it will be reviewed by a committee and a shortlist will be produced, and there's no funding available at this stage. Any questions coming through? Okay, well, I think...
do you think that's enough time for people to research and get their proposals in? That's is it 2 months from now? 3 months? 3 months.
Yes, I think it is enough time in the sense that the people likely to make proposals will have been thinking about this kind of project already, and so therefore this is an opportunity for them to put forward their ideas. Also bear in mind that we're not asking for very, very detailed proposals in terms of engineering drawings and detailed cost models, etc. These are concept proposals which will then be further explored.
And just say that the full call has been published on the Africa2Moon website and will be made live now. The address for that is africa2moon.developspacesa.org/call. You can submit online and you can attach your full proposals there as well as review guidelines and a template for proposals as also provided. Okay, thank you very much everyone for the time. This video will be available on YouTube and will be shared on the Africa2Moon website as well for review and any later questions. Thank you.